Well, when we started working on Resident Evil 6, we decided, well, we want to create a new type of horror situations for this new Resident Evil game. When we're trying to think of what to do, well, this started about 3.5 years ago when we started working on the game. And at that time, I was really into a couple of American TV shows, specifically 24 and Heroes. And what I liked about them is the way they were able to take something that happens, but you have to follow all these different protagonist storylines, and they all come together for this one incident. And I was thinking, man, it'd be great if we could do that for Resident Evil, try to bring all these protagonists and put them into one big incident and see what happens. You have Leon in America, and he's a government agent, and he's dealing with the biohazard outbreak there. And then you have Chris's story, and he's part of the BSAA, these group of soldiers, and they're trying to fight bioterrorism. And then you have Jake and Sherry's an American agent as well, but they're just trying to escape. So you have these three different reactions, if you will, to the one incident that unifies the Resident Evil 6 story. But when you play these, and they all stand on their own, and they all have their own conclusions, but when you get to the end of them, there might be some things that are left unanswered, some things you're not quite certain about, and that's where Ada comes in. Ada's campaign is the one that ties all the campaigns together, because she's working in the background, and she's seeing the hand behind the scenes that's kind of controlling everything, and that's where you get all the answers to the things that you didn't feel maybe satisfied with the campaign. So I really encourage people to play through the entire game, because Ada's campaign will only be unlocked once you beat the three campaigns, Leon, Jake, and Chris. Agent Hub mode is a mode where players can play as the enemy creatures in the game and attack people who are playing as protagonists or the heroes of the game. And it may look like a versus mode or a multiplayer mode, but it's not really, because what you're doing is you're controlling an enemy character in someone else's campaign. So the people who are playing the campaign are just going through trying to beat Resident Evil normally, and then here you come in as one of the enemies and trying to stop them. And this idea was really just born out of the whole crossover elements in the game, because we can show what the story in Resident Evil 6 from the point of view of the enemies, and we thought that would be kind of fun. Also, we're trying to create different levels of tension and fear in the players as they play this game. And what better way to do that but than to have other players help us do that. So as you're playing the campaign, you may not just be attacked by AI enemies, but also enemies controlled by humans, which are much more crafty. We made sure that the controls are there and that it works well, and that it doesn't really take away from the campaign experience. We didn't make the enemy characters you play as super powerful, because we don't want to detract from someone who's trying to clear the Resident Evil game. We want them to be able to still enjoy playing the campaign in Resident Evil 6. But that said, we realized by doing this would also be good in a multiplayer type mode. So we're thinking of having other modes where you can use these enemy creatures to fight normally in arenas and whatnot. But whereas in Agent Hunt, the moves they have available to them are kind of limited, with the full-on multiplayer with no holds barred, so it's a much more balanced fight. Well, after RE5 came out, we conducted a survey in North America about the game, and we asked the fans, what did you like, what didn't you like? And they were pretty honest in what they told us, and that definitely went on to influence the direction Resident Evil 6 took. And of course, one of those things, as you said, is the horror elements. People were worried that we didn't have enough horror, and can you put more in? And well, of course, it's a Resident Evil game, so you gotta have horror. We understand that, so we decided to look at how we could incorporate that into this game, and while still maintaining some of the action elements, because there are people who also enjoy the fact that RE is an action game as well. So that's when we decided on the 4 different protagonists: Leon, Chris, Jake, and Ada, and each one of their campaigns is a different horror setting, and so we're able to showcase the Resident Evil world with different horror elements in it, and I think that will please those core fans without losing a lot of the action elements that a lot of newer fans of the series really enjoy.
A lot of the music for Resident Evil 6 has changed in the sense that there are different campaigns in this title. In each campaign, we chose to focus the music in a certain direction for each of the campaigns. For example, for Leon's campaign, a lot of the focus is more on investigating something and the concept of terror in that campaign. So the musical theme for that campaign was focused using more woodwind instruments to try and invoke that fear in the player. For Chris's campaign, it is more focused on action, and he's part of a unit in the BSAA. So a lot of the instruments that we used for his campaign were brass instruments, so a lot of horns and trumpets, to kind of give that militaristic feel to it. For Jake's campaign, the theme is more of his escape from Ustana. And we also wanted to try and show his new character, so we wanted to try and show his wild personality as well. So a lot of drums and electronic bass. And in Ada's campaign, the theme is more kind of like infiltration and has a spy feel to it. So we wanted to show her mysterious side, and a lot of the sounds in her campaign are very digital and synthetic.
So as the series has evolved and progressed, we are seeing more action enter into the gameplay, and as a result, it might feel like there is less of an emphasis on horror, but it's not that we're trying to emphasize the horror aspect less. We just consider the action portion to be a bit of a gameplay evolution for users. And of course, if we try and overbalance action and horror, or focus too much on one or the other, the results won't be very good. So what we tried to do is answer this using the different campaigns, which each focus on different elements and different approaches to the Resident Evil universe. And the areas where that's most clear are in Leon and Chris's campaign. Throughout every single campaign, we've tried to make sure that every single room, every single area is its own unique experience, and we've tried to make sure that there's a good balance and that players will be able to go through one area and then immediately be hit with another. And so we've tried to use that as a way to really drive the positive elements of both aspects of the game. So we're really looking forward to people actually getting their hands on the game, playing it, and letting us know how they feel, and hopefully they will really enjoy it.